Peace to everybody, back with another video. This is protesters set fire to Wendy's in Atlanta where a black man was slain by police. Now, I'm going to tell you this part right here. Alright? Protesters, the peaceful ones, they didn't start the fire. Okay? The non-protesters are the ones that set fire to the Wendy's in Atlanta, Georgia. So when they say protesters, they should have been specific about which one it was. They should have said the non-protesters. They were the ones that set fire to the Wendy's in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, that's what it should have been. Should have been headline. But protesters, the peaceful ones, no, they don't do stuff like that. The violent ones that are not protesters, those are the ones that do it. And of course, here it says stop police brutality. Protesters shut down a major highway in Atlanta on Saturday and set fire to a Wendy's restaurant where a black man was shot by police as he tried to escape arrest. An incident caught on video and sure to fuel more nationwide demonstrations. So yeah, so the protesters, they shut down the major part of highway in Atlanta on Saturday and set fires to a Wendy's restaurant. But like I said, the peaceful protesters, they don't do stuff like that. They don't burn down businesses or anything like that. It's the violent ones that are doing it. The non-protesters are the ones that are doing it. They're the agitators. They're the ones that cause chaos and destruction. Now, they should have burned down CNN while they were at it, because that's fake news, but you know that didn't happen. Although I'm hoping that'll go next, because I can't stand CNN with their fake news, and I don't even watch TV because of all this fake propaganda that's going around on the news from the mainstream media. And thanks to Obama, not his real name, he signed the H.R. 4310 bill to use CNN as propaganda. Then other news stations had picked up on it. So this is why our local news stations has been hijacked because of Obama. The unrest broke out after dark in Atlanta, where earlier in the day, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms said she had accepted the prompt resignation of Police Chief Erica Shields over the death on Friday night of 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks at the Wendy's. Yes, so the unrest broke out after dark, and it's still on fire now. There's no fire trucks that come and put the fire out right now, because the part of the highway is blocked off totally by the violent protesters. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms said she had accepted the prompt resignation of Police Chief Erica Shields over the death on Friday night of 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks at the Wendy's. Yeah, so that's what she accepted, the resignation of her. Images on local television showed the restaurant in flames with no fire crews on the scene. Other demonstrators marched onto Interstate 75 where they were met by police. So yeah, so you have images on local television showing the restaurant in flames. There's no fire crews around anywhere. There's none. All right, we don't know where those fire crews are, but there's none around. Other demonstrators marched onto Interstate 75 where they were met by police. So the peaceful ones, they went to the interstate, all right, where they were met by police. All right, so here's Veronica Miracle, I do believe, and this is the Wendy's restaurant that is on fire still, and it's going to continue burning all night until there's nothing left of it. So there's no fire crews anywhere. So they're just going to let it burn all night until there's nothing left of it. And this brings me to my other point. The shadow governments who are evil, also known as the Democrat Party, okay? They are burning down their own corporations. All right, this is when their corporations are AutoZone, Wendy's, Target. I'm not sure what other ones they got, but they're burning down their own corporations. You don't see the Republican Party doing that. Only the evil shadow governments are doing this. All right, so this is why they got the alleged MS-13, the foot soldiers. Okay, they they got their own personal foot soldiers to tell them to go and burn down these corporations. And yet they're going to blame this on Donald Trump. Either way, they're going to do it. And Trump has nothing to do with this. All right, he doesn't. He's not a politician at all. He's not. So please remember that Donald Trump is not a politician at all. He's just in the way. That's all he is. That's all he is. Even there are memes of him out there saying, I hope you had fun investigating me. Now it's my turn. Then, of course, there's another one saying, they're not after me, they're after you. So that means the shadow governments are after us because we're a threat to them. And this is why they're doing what they're doing. So this is why Donald Trump is not a politician. He's not Republican. He's not Democrat. He's just in the way. All right, that's all. But he has nothing to do with this. Even though people are going to find everything they can, they say, oh, well, Donald Trump's a Satanist. He's a racist. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's not. If you go look at his Twitter account, there is nothing racist on there. All right, there isn't. Do your research on H.R. 4310. All right, that was signed by Obama in 2013. He is responsible for this. He's the one that put CNN up to these fake news media. But like I said, here's the Wendy's that's on fire that the Democrat Party's foot soldiers have done. I do not believe that this was a justified use of deadly force and have called for the immediate termination of the officer, Bottoms said at an afternoon news conference. Authorities have not yet released the names of the two officers involved in the shooting, both of whom were white. All right, so you got the white officers, but they're not going to release the names. Not yet, at least, but they will. It's also, Bottom said, I do not believe that this was a justified use of deadly force and have called for the immediate termination of the officer. And this is what Bottom said in an afternoon news conference. All right. Brooks was the father of a young daughter who was celebrating her birthday on Saturday, his lawyer said. His death from a police bullet came after more than 2 weeks of demonstrations in major cities across the United States in the name of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man who died on May 25th under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer. Well, I had put up a video earlier showing the real footage, all right, of what happened to George Floyd. You could look at that video. The video that you saw was fake. It had no timestamp on there. That's why the video was fake. Because I was looking all over for the timestamp in the fake video. There was no timestamp. Get a clue, people? The real footage I have put on my channel has a timestamp on it. The fake video did not. You gotta ask yourself, where is the timestamp on that fake video of George Floyd? Alright? Because there wasn't one. That's the key one you gotta look for, the timestamp. What I have put on my YouTube channel is the real one with a timestamp on it. Street protests broke out in Atlanta on Saturday near the scene of the shooting, with more than 100 people calling for the officers to be charged criminally in the case. Yeah, so the street protests broke out in Atlanta on Saturday near the scene of the shooting, with more than 100 people. They are calling for the officers to be charged criminally in the case. All right, so that's what they want. Here's Ann's, here's her Twitter account, of course. And she says, this just happened in Atlanta at the Wendy's on University. 2 white officers killed a black man, blank the police. And you know I ain't going to say that word because I keep my mouth shut on that. I say it in private, and I just apologize after that. Repent to God after that. Police were called to the Wendy's over reports that Brooks had fallen asleep in the drive-thru line. Officers attempted to take him into custody after he failed a field sobriety test, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. I don't think there was a field sobriety test, so it's going to be kind of hard to believe this one because I really don't believe it, because you know all this fake propaganda news crap is ridiculous. All right, it's pathetic, and it's pathetic all the way around. Police were called to the Wendy's over reports that Brooks had fallen asleep in the drive-thru line. Yeah, okay, you're going to sit there in the drive-thru line and fall asleep? I don't think so. That's not going to happen. Officers attempted to take him into custody after he failed a field sobriety test. Now, why would Rayshard Brooks be drunk at a drive-thru, huh? If he's driving a car, you cannot be drinking and driving at the same time, all right? You cannot do that. This is why the mainstream media lies so much. They're adding stuff in that never really happened. They're saying, oh, he failed a field sobriety test according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So this is what the mainstream media does. Even I have put up about what Nancy Pelosi said. You give the mainstream media a story, and they'll switch the narrative and to make up stories. So you got to think about that one. I got the Nancy Pelosi one up on my channel. Check that one out. Video shot by a bystander captured Brooks struggling with 2 officers on the ground outside the Wendy's before breaking free and running across the parking lot with what appears to be a police taser in his hand. Yeah, okay, a police taser. Can we get a little real, please? Can we get a little real over here? This is why I don't like the mainstream media, because they're lying. Video shot by a bystander captured Brooks struggling with 2 officers on the ground outside the Wendy's before breaking free. All right, where's that video? I want to see it. Where is the video? If there are security cameras on the outside of Wendy's, where is that footage? I want to see it. All right, and they're saying that he had a police taser in his hand. Really? If he had a police taser, why didn't they release the video showing that? Why didn't they? You got all these security cameras around Wendy's to see who goes in and out in that, and then yet they're going to lie and say he had a taser in his hand? Show me the video. A second videotape from the restaurant's camera shows Brooks running as he runs and possibly aiming the taser at the pursuing officers before one of them fires his gun and Brooks falls to the ground. Yeah, okay. So there's a second videotape, allegedly. So in other words, where is it? Where are all these tapes? Why aren't they released? Right, it's from the restaurant's camera shows Brooke turning as he runs and possibly aiming the taser at the pursuing officers. Really? They really need to release those tapes immediately. Not tomorrow, not next year, not whatever. Now. They need to release those tapes to show the real truth. Brooks ran the length of about 6 cars when he turned back toward an officer and pointed what he had in his hand at the policeman, said Vic Reynolds, director of the GBI, at a separate press conference. So now they're saying Brooks ran the length of about 6 cars. 6 cars? You can't even run that fast. When he turned back toward an officer and pointed what he had in his hand at the policeman. And this is what Vic Reynolds, director of the GBI, at a separate press conference. Vic Reynolds doesn't even know what the heck happened. He wasn't even there. So how is he going to know what Rayshard Brooks had? This is why they love switching the narratives. This is why they like to create narratives that are not true. All they care about is destruction and chaos. This is what the mainstream media does. They don't tell the truth. Obama signed the H.R. 4310 bill in 2013. Please do your research on that. And you'll see in there that CNN, fake propaganda. That's what he used CNN for, fake propaganda. And this is why everybody fell for what they fell for. And it should have never happened. All this fake stuff that they're putting out is not true. You're all falling for a narrative that is not true. It was not made for the Americans. It was made for the governments only. We are not the governments. Us patriots. We're not the governments. We are free Americans. At that point, the Atlanta officer reaches down and retrieves his weapon from his holster, discharges it, strikes Mr. Brooks there on the parking lot, and he goes down, Reynolds said. Alright, so now they're saying that he had at the point the Atlanta officer reaches down and retrieves his weapon from his holster. Really? You're gonna pull a gun on somebody that don't even have a gun in his hand? And a taser? What's a taser gonna do except stun you and then you'll go down, but that's just about it. How do we know that taser didn't get fired by the police officer instead? Where these videos have to come out. We need to see those videos. Lawyers representing the family of Brooks told reporters that Atlanta police had no right to use deadly force even if he had fired the taser, a non-lethal weapon, in their direction. Really? a non-lethal weapon in their direction, a taser. Come on. They're so full of garbage. Lawyers representing the family of Brooks told reporters that Atlanta police had no right to use deadly force. Well, they don't really. They should have banned it years ago. Why do you think people are in an uproar now? They want this mess gone permanently. That means stop using deadly force. And I don't mean go defunding the police either, because that ain't going to help. Stand up to your local representatives, your mayors, your governors. Those are the people you got to yell at to make changes. They're the ones that are doing it. They're the ones that are allowing this to happen every day, all over the place, all over this country. Police are using deadly force, and it should have been banned years ago. But no, they just let it go. They just do a side eye and say, no, I don't know what happened. I don't know what you're talking about. They know what was going on. They knew. They just chose to ignore it. And this is why people are speaking up now to make changes to the police force. Because they were trained to kill people, put chokeholds on people. When you first enter the police academy, that's what they're going to teach you. Chokeholds, killing people. They don't care. Step up and say something. Even if you see an officer try to do something to an innocent person, go to them and tell them to stop it. This is not right. Don't be afraid of them. You can't shoot somebody unless they are pointing a gun at you. Attorney Chris Stewart said, yes, you can't shoot somebody unless they are pointing a gun at you. And Rayshard Brooks did not have a gun. Hello? So what does that tell you? He did not have a gun. And now they're trying, and of course they're going to say, oh, he had a taser, a non-lethal weapon in their direction. Really? Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard Jr. said in an emailed statement that his office has already launched an intense independent investigation of the incident while it awaits the findings of the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Yes, so now the Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard Jr. has said in an emailed statement that his office has already launched an intense independent investigation of the incident while it awaits the findings of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So whatever the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has, then the Fulton County will get it. Attorney will get it. But until then, it's totally insane. Bottoms said Shields, a white woman appointed chief in December 2016, would be replaced by Deputy Chief Rodney Bryant, a black man who will serve as interim chief. Alright, so who is Rodney Bryant? Well, we don't know. Is he part of the shadow governments? Yes, because any police officers that do evil things, they're under the shadow government's control. They're under their control. They control these police officers. They tell them who to shoot and who not to shoot. Alright, but Shields was a white woman appointed chief in December of 2016, and of course when she has stepped down, Chief Rodney Bryant, who is a black man who will serve as interim chief. So he will be serving as interim chief for who knows how long that'll last. Who knows how long that will last? Because these shadow governments are using people, all right, for their propaganda. That's all they do. They use people. They don't care nothing about you. They laugh at you every single day. They just don't care anymore. They're laughing at you every single day. Does the Republican Party do that? No. It's only the deep state, which is the shadow governments. They're the ones that are laughing at you every single day. They say, yeah, now we got the people right where we want them. Time to get away from the evil ones. Because if you keep sticking around with them, you're going to keep getting used more and more by them. Time to fight back and fight these corrupt, deep shadows. Because if you don't, our country will be gone forever. Then what's going to happen? Communism, which I am totally against. Socialism, fascism, everything that these New World Order people are waiting to take. Now, do you want that? Leave your comments below. I am out.